Welcome to our Wellness Hub, where I have been interviewing experts in the field of health, wellness, healing, and mindset for the past 5 years. My name is Monisi. I'm a mindset coach, and I help women who feel stuck and overwhelmed in their lives by giving them actionable tools to develop positive lifelong habits. Some of my clients have deep unresolved traumas that usually come from childhood. I use different techniques to bring these unresolved wounds to the surface. And when needed, I direct them to experts in the specific field of trauma healing. Today, we have a very special guest. Her name is Roseanne Reilly. She's an advanced craniosacral therapist, and she specializes in nervous system restoration. Roseanne, thank you for being here. Tell us a bit about yourself and what are you doing today to help women around the world? The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Monica, and such a pleasure to be here and sharing this time and space with your wonderful followers and guests as well. And diving straight in, a little bit about myself. I'm originally from Ireland. I live in New York, and I opened my own business probably 15 years ago now. And I really felt like I landed in my soul's work. I started out life as a nurse, moved into the field of health and safety, education, training, examining. And I kept feeling like I was missing. I was missing something. And I really felt that deep within me that I was here to work at a much deeper level. And it really all aligned with me giving birth to my own daughter, moving country, having a lot of change in my life in a very, very short space of time. And through there, I really wanted to be the mom that I wanted to be first and foremost. And I realized that to do that, I wanted to be the one to take care of her. But also, I really wanted to still nurture this deeper need in me and this deeper calling. And so how I balanced all of that out was by becoming a craniosacral therapist. I dug really deep into the work. And then from there, I began to realize that one of the biggest obstacles to healing, to moving forward, and to both personal and professional growth was a dysregulated nervous system. And really, when I lifted the lid on that, really honed in on it, people's lives began to transform. Because so much of how we show up in the world today is being driven by our past experiences. So just like you mentioned in the introduction about the work that you do, Monica, and when we kind of approach the past with the present via these pathways, then we can feel safe to heal. And that is what is essential. That is what is essential, because at the root of trauma is this memory of something that really terrified us from the inside out. And it could have been physical, emotional. The list is endless. Everybody's story is different. But at the root of trauma is this sense of not feeling safe in the world. And so we adapt. We learn to adapt to try and keep ourselves safe. And some of those strategies have been amazing. And they've gotten us to where we are today. But some may actually, over time, begin to really deplete ourselves because they tend to follow a nervous system that needs to remain really, really vigilant. And when we learn how that vigilance shows up in our body, our breath, our thoughts, our interactions, our relationships, our responses, how we experience things, then so much can begin to make sense as to why certain patterns repeat themselves and as to why maybe somewhere on the line you can look back and say, you know what, I used to be able to cope so much better. And now it just seems like everything is overwhelming me. Because when we're building life off of a dysregulated nervous system, we're literally accumulating stress every single day. Every single day. And then with that, we become imbalanced. And hence why we can cope with less and less over time. Or hence why we feel like we're losing it more often. Hence why we might feel like we're feeling triggered more often. Hence why we might feel like the list of like physical complaints is getting longer. And if we include the nervous system in our healing journeys, then we actually get to put a real solid platform beneath our feet. And that becomes a springboard for growth, for healing, for this felt sense of, I am here, and here I am.
Beautiful. And you can breathe again deeply.
Yeah.
Many people don't want to accept sometimes that they had a trauma, and they kind of hide it throughout their lives, and nobody can see it. They know it's there, and they think it's going to go away. But if you don't work on it, it's never going to go away.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a reason why we do that. There's a reason why we do that, because in a lot of ways, we're trying to protect ourselves. We're trying to protect ourselves from the experience and from the memory of the experience. And when we do that, our world begins to get much, much smaller and tighter and more contracted. Like you just said, like to be able to take that breath again. You know, there's that sense of you can't even take a deep breath anymore. And so there's this place where we can kind of fear the trauma less, to be able to integrate it so that we don't have to keep feeling like we have to ignore it, avoid it, stuff it down, run away from it, because we really can't outrun it. We can reflect back and go, I'm successful. You know, I've ticked all the boxes in my life, my career. Maybe you're still, you know, on a path and you're still ticking those boxes. But there's always this pull, this sense of there's always one foot on a banana peel. That no matter how much traction you seem to give yourself, it's like, voomp, I'm back in the same space again. Same thing, showing up time and time again. And there's this illusion of what true recovery means. And to the majority of us, and even to me, I just assumed that if I was able to get up and go the next day, it meant I was recovered. Right? But unless we truly integrate the experience, it stays like a stress cycle, looping and looping and looping. And when we can recognize the loop, how it begins to show up in our body, how it begins to show up in our thoughts, through our mind, through our mindset, and even how it shows up in our interactions, and really begin to communicate with it in a way that it can feel safe, seen, and heard, then we take the energy out of it. We reclaim that energy. And so we have way more clarity, and we have to work less hard at everything else we are trying to do to move forward. Okay, so instead of moving forward with immense, feeling like you have immense baggage, it's like, let's just allow ourselves to actually be with this Let's hear its message. But to be able to do that, we have to be able to feel safe to feel. Because trauma not only comes with emotions, not only comes with thoughts, not only comes with memories, it comes with big sensations. And that tends to be what we fear the most. And that is what will trigger the fear circuitry of your brain. That's what will hijack your thoughts. That's what will hijack your day. And that's what you are working so hard at trying to either avoid or suppress or push away or push through.
And ruin eventually your life. Instead of reaching your full potential, you just live on survival mode. And so you have a program. How does it work?
Yeah. So it's basically based off of nervous system restoration. Okay. And that is where we work together. There's different ways of working with me. But for anybody who hasn't ventured down this path, I always suggest, at a minimum, my 6-week program. And what that program gives you is a foundation in how to begin to build a relationship with your body and with your emotions, okay, and with your triggers and stressors, so that you can begin to reduce overwhelm, begin to feel safe to feel, begin to integrate what it is that tends to show up on a very regular basis for you, where you'll begin to notice that things that used to upset you don't really upset you anymore, or things that used to trigger you and maybe take you down for a day, 2 days, a week, a month, no longer takes you down for as long or as deep. And there's a very specific pathway, and it begins by building trust between your nervous system and you and your nervous system. Because somewhere along the way, we learned to abandon ourselves. We learned to neglect ourselves, and we learned to push aside our deeper needs. And that is a first and fundamental step, and that's where we begin. Then I teach you how to regulate your nervous system. Most people understand how to down-regulate the system when they feel stressed, but not too many people understand that we're trying to sometimes up-regulate it too. And so when we learn how much kind of control we have through different tools, different avenues, different pathways, following especially the vagal pathway, your vagus nerve, then we can really begin to embody what's called a felt sense of safety from within. And once you get a feel for that, it's yours. It's yours. And it becomes an anchor for you, so that when things get super difficult, you know you have the inner resources to help yourself through. And that is the opposite to what trauma is. Trauma is when we were not resourced to cope with whatever arose for us in those moments, nor did we receive the help.
Who are the people that come to you generally?
Yeah. People who come to me really feel very unsafe in the world. They feel very unsafe with themselves, and they feel very unsafe with their emotions and within relationships, to a point that they're stuck in highly protective and defensive states. And they tend to have tried everything. And they turn to me. We generally begin with just like a half an hour introduction. They share, I listen, I share, and then they feel if it resonates with them or not. And in general, it's a very kind of natural process. And people who are ready for this work pretty much know, and they're in. And from there, it's almost like different people have described it as, it's like they feel like their brain begins to bloom again. That there's more light in their lives, there's more lightness in their body, that there's way more clarity, they have way more energy. And of course, they feel less disturbed by the outer world. because it anchors in such a reliable sense of inner stability within themselves that no matter what arises, they know how to take care of themselves, they'll have their own back, and they know how to restore balance.
You're so inspirational, and I love your voice, Roseanne. You have such a calming voice. One last thing, I would talk to you for hours, but we have to actually start wrapping up soon. One of the things is that people should become aware of this block that they have, that usually comes from childhood, and act as soon as possible. You go to the root cause and give them the tools to deal with it and to make it
lighter,
so that you can go on and have the life that you were always meant to have.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Roseanne, everyone is going to have your information down below. To contact you, the best way is through your website. They can schedule a call.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can go through my website, and that's handsoftimehealing.com, and you have the option there of reading through the resources that are available to you and the option of booking in for, as I call it, a synergy call.
Roseanne, you are an inspiration every time. We're going to have you again soon with probably an exercise that we're going to show our audience. And I thank you so much for the work that you're doing, helping so many women and individuals around the world have the life that they were supposed to have. So this is what we're here.
Thank you so much. And thank you for your wonderful work too, Monica.
Until next time, Roseanne. Okay.
Beautiful.
Well, thank you.